Hey everyone, Miss Dempsey here. It's been quite a while since we've had a Gran Turismo Sport racing video, so I wanted to come back to this series with a little special video, and this is with the final round of the GR Supra GT Cup, and it's taking place at the Nurburgring 24 Hour. I also have a little special video I'm making as a way to say goodbye to the series, which should be up a couple hours after this video is published, so keep an eye out for that. And here I am racing with a couple of friends like Lady Cyrus and DCT or Burdock, so it's great to see them again. And yeah, this race is going to be a little extra interesting for a couple of reasons. Reason one is because the expectations I have coming into this race is a little different. So let's say with the previous rounds, my expectations is say, hey, let's finish above a certain place, like 10th place, let's say. But with this race, I was more so thinking, hey, let's make sure we don't finish in last place, and let's try not to die in this track. And one last thing that makes this race interesting was that it was broadcasted. So in a moment, you'll see the replay or the broadcast that's on the top right of the corner, which should be appearing when the race is just about to start. So you'll get to see from the perspective of the commentators, which is really awesome. This makes it the second time that I appeared in a race where I was broadcasted. I don't know how to word that, but anyways, here we go. We're about to start the race, and I think it's going to be an interesting race just because as I mentioned, I just want to make sure I don't finish last, and I just don't want to die in this because I feel like this is like the Tokyo Expressway race where one mistake can really ruin everything, but with this one it's going to be a lot more punishing because there's so much track, so you can easily get left behind. So now the race has started, and here we go. Turn one, we've already got a big obstacle. We have to make sure that we start to brake at the right place and try not to punt anyone in the front off, and try not to get punted ourselves, and luckily it goes just fine. So that was already a big sigh of relief, because I know when I was practicing in the lobbies, I tended to get that first turn wrong, like right when we started the race. But in the laps after, that's where I had it a lot better. So here, my goal right now, or my objective, is just to try to stick behind Cardspan and Lady Cyrus. I'm not too sure about NZNZ and Carlan because I know they're extremely good. And when it comes to Cardspan and Lady Cyrus, comparing them against me, I think we're all on par. It's just that they're just a tiny bit better than me. You're welcome. But but yeah, they're also really good drivers, and there's some of the people that I want to keep an eye out for, especially Cardspan, because I know we've had a lot of really good battles in the past races, to the point where we're kind of just killing each other, which is fun. I mean, I'm not going to lie about that. So another thing I want to keep an eye out on is just the tires. Right now, I'm just trying to get the tires warmed up, start to get the maximum grip that they can offer, and try not to get too far behind Cardspan, which I am already doing. One of the things is that I'm also trying to be really careful, since once again, as I mentioned, in this track, if you make a significant mistake, your race is going to be in complete jeopardy. So I want to make sure that that doesn't happen to me. So as long as I drive carefully but with a steady pace, then I think I'll do fine. I mean, once again, I'm not expecting myself to finish like in the top 4, let's say. I just want to finish in a decent position, as long as it's not 18th place according to the screen up there. Another thing that I want to mention before I actually start cutting to them is there's going to be times where I start to cut over to the commentary or to my live reaction, because I was also recording myself, just like what I was saying or reacting to during the race itself. So once again, I mean, right now you're hearing the post commentary from me. I'll say when I'm about to switch over to this or that, just to give you guys a heads up. But back to the race. So here we go. We're about to enter the Flux Platz. I'm trying to remember the track turns. All I know is what they look like. And this turn is a tiny bit tricky for me at first when I was starting to practice it. But as I kept on doing more laps, I got a bit more comfortable, and I was able to squeeze out just a tiny bit more speed. And that can make a difference between closing the gap a little bit or getting a bit further away, depending on how you want to look at it. Nice and easy through this turn, and once again I'm just trying to be careful. I want to nurse the car a little bit, try to get the tires to last as long as possible, because once we're, say, in the latter half of lap 1, that's when the car is going to start to struggle just a little bit with the grip, and as the race goes on the tires will start to struggle more and more. So I just want to be careful about that. And then here's this turn. This turn can get a little crazy for me. I know when I was doing the qualifying, I actually almost messed it up right here, or back there that is. So I just want to be a bit more careful, and I want to make sure that I don't mess it up. And just in a moment, we're going to go ahead and hear what the commentators have to say about me. So I'm going to go ahead and cut over to them.
Though, who has closed that gap now down to, of course, NZ in front, and also Cards Fan not too far away either, but he's got a bit of company in the form of Mr. MCA, who we haven't mentioned so far in this race, but is sitting there quietly in 5th position, ready to pounce and ready to try and take advantage if anything goes wrong between these drivers in front.
These guys read me like a book. But yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing. And if you don't know about me, that's one of the things that I absolutely love to do. I just like to just sit back and wait for the person up ahead to make a mistake so I can start to pounce on them and try to get a position change. And once again, I'm just trying to be careful because I don't want to force myself into a mistake, because once again, we're in the Nordschleife. And if I make a huge mistake, that's going to cost me a ton of time and potentially a lot of positions. And that's kind of the name of the game for me. Just keep myself focused on what's up ahead, start to plan out where I want to brake, how I want to navigate this turn, where I want to start to accelerate. And also just keep an eye on how much fuel I'm using, adjust the fuel mapping if necessary, and just take care of the tires. So I'm kind of just like in my own race. If Cards Fan somehow messes up big time, then that's going to, well, I mean, that's an opportunity for me to initiate a position change. Alright, so now we're going through this section over here, a long straight, which isn't actually straight, but we're just going through all these turns flat out. And eventually I'm going to bring the fuel map to 2, because at this point I'm not going much faster. So I was like, okay, I'm going to bring it up to 2 and just try to save up a tiny bit more fuel, because I will be pitting ideally after lap 2, so I can try to save up a little bit more fuel and try to get an advantage over the person ahead of me. But let's cut over to the live reaction, because oh my gosh. No, no! Could have been much worse. Could have been much worse. And yeah, first gigantic mistake for me. I slightly braked too late, and it's already cost me a position. Luckily, I didn't damage the car, because if I damaged the car, then that will completely jeopardize the entire race for me. But one of the things I do have to consider is the tires, and they're obviously going to be in a worse condition than almost everyone else in this race, especially the ones who are ahead and behind me. So now I'm just going to try to keep my head focused on the track ahead and now on Turismo Cooper. And just in a moment, we're going to hear what the commentators have to say about me. And luckily, they did not catch me make that gigantic mistake, because I already embarrassed myself, and luckily they didn't have to embarrass me anymore.
Quarters later it can shrink down, a few quarters later it can increase out. You know, it's a very common occurrence, I should say, in these GR Supra machines.
Yeah, definitely. and like you were saying before, the dirty air isn't a massive factor with these things like we've seen in other series. So you can follow very closely around here, and that's what these guys want to do on this circuit. Mr. MCA, though, we're looking at right now in 6th place, chasing down Turismo with Cooper. Bit of daylight, well, not much daylight, it's not very bright, between him and Kooky Burb as well behind. So he's not got the most difficult job in the world right now of, you know, defending too hard or trying to attack too hard. Just going to manage to tie his DNA spec.
So now that I think about it, I'm actually in a better position just because I don't have as much pressure as 2 cars hounding on me from behind, Turismo Cooper and Kooky Burb, if I was up ahead. And back there when they were commenting about me, I actually had a touch of understeer. I don't know if you caught that, but when I was in the race, I felt it. I was like, oh no, I need all the grip that you can give me, you stupid tires. So I'm getting a bit more nervous, and that makes me want to be a bit more careful. But at the same time, I have Turismo Cooper, so I want to try to regain my position. And here we are, we're going to go on the back straight, but I'm not going to catch up as much as I would like, but anything that could potentially help me catch up to 5th place and try to retake it, that'll help me out. And I'm not going to care if Turismo Cooper pressures the heck out of me, because 5th place is where I started, and now I want to retake it, and I want it now. We are actually gaining on him, but I'm not going to be able to catch up to him because the back straight is already getting ready to end. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and feel safe just a little bit, and I have to start to brake just a little bit sooner because I'm going slightly faster than Cooper himself, and I want to make sure I don't punt him to Pluto. And also, I just don't want to mess it up here, because here it can be really easy to mess it up if you brake way too late. Alright, so lap 1 somewhat survived, almost entered the shadow realm. So we're going to go into lap 2, and once again, our focus is just to not die, and I'm going to try to be a bit more aggressive and try to catch up to Cooper and see if I can try to overtake him, most preferably before we enter the Nordschleife version. And we're going to go back to the live version of how I react, because oh my gosh, again. No. I'm losing it, come on. And yeah, it's honestly, here's the thing. So I've been practicing my butt off for this race, so I already have a ton of pressure on me to do well, and there's been just a couple other things that has been going on. Some of it relating to YouTube, you know, just trying to get a good time for the daily race lap guides of that week, trying to practice for this race, and other things, you know, just going on in my personal life. So I mean, it's been pretty stressful, and it's been easy for me to just lose focus because you know, all the pressure is getting to me. And that was one of those moments where the pressure was starting to get to me again, and now I'm just telling myself I have to focus. And that's one of the important things when it comes to racing, especially if you're in a league race. You just have to get your focus down like all the time. You need to dedicate all your focus to this, and especially for the longer races, it's going to be really, really difficult. I mean, as you've seen, I already lost it twice, and luckily they weren't, the consequences wasn't that severe, but it's costing me time. And Kooky Burb is right behind me, so now he closed the gap because I made a mistake on myself. So as long as I don't make any more mistakes, because I've pretty much ran out of like the get out of jail free cards, I've pretty much used that up. I can't afford to make any more mistakes, and that's something I have to really keep in mind. And the other thing is that the tires, you know, they got dirty, and I'm sure that the tire life is now even worse than Cooper and Kooky Burb, who's behind me. So I just have to be a lot more careful. And this is also the part where I'm kind of just barely even talking. And Cookie Burp actually got a penalty, so I can breathe just a little bit of relief, because now I don't have to worry too much, because he has to serve his penalty all the way at the back straight. There's only 2 penalty sections where you can serve it. Well, there's one at the GP section, like I think it's towards the end of it, and the other one's towards the back straight of the Nordschleife version. So he's gonna have that hanging over his head for quite some time. And once again, I'm just trying to be a bit more careful, because I'm already getting really nervous. I already feel all this pressure, and I'm just trying to focus, just trying to stay calm. And that's one other thing that you also need to do, is when under pressure, just keep your cool. And that's something I'm just trying to do, just trying to breathe calmly. That helps me out quite a bit, and hopefully we'll catch up to Cooper and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to fast forward the clip quite a bit, just because not much really happens. And I mean, let's face it, this is a 30-minute race, and if there's nothing happening between now and whatever happens next, then, well, I'm just wasting your time. So let's go ahead and fast forward it a bit. Alright, so we are near the end of lap 2, and I'm really catching up to Turismo Cooper. I'm getting a lot of that slipstream benefit, so I'm going much faster than him, and it allows me to close the gap. And I almost brake a little bit too late. Luckily, I catched that mistake before it just completely destroyed my car. So we're both going to head into the pit stop, and what you're going to notice here is I have a bit more fuel. I have about 4% more fuel than Cooper, and I mean, it's not going to be like a huge difference, but it's still going to help me catch up and close the gap between him and I. So let's go ahead and fuel up here. We're changing tires, because our tires are dead, or at least not as dead as those who are doing a no stop, because someone is actually doing the no stop. R1600 Turbo, he's going for the no stop, and I came out of the pit stop, and now I'm right behind Cooper. So now I'm going to be applying a ton of pressure, because now we're in the final lap. We're going to be going crazy now, and Cooper and I are going to be trying to pass Turbo before we enter the Nordschleife, because over there it's going to be much harder to get a pass going when the track is so narrow. And here in the GP, I mean, the track is nice and wide, so we can definitely get a nice clean pass. And of course, he's going to be going at a much slower pace, so as you can already see here, we're already catching up to him. So let's go ahead and see how much closer we can get once we approach the carousel. And he goes wide, so I guess he knows that we're right on his tail, so he's going to let Cooper by in a moment. Yep, he's going to let him by. We're approaching the S's here, so they don't want to battle out. And now it's my turn, so now I'm right behind Turbo, and here I'm hoping he's like, excuse me, can you let me through? And of course he's going to let me through, so very kind to him, thank you very much. He brakes a little bit early, and I go ahead and pass on by, flash my emergency lights just as a way to say thank you. And yeah, I try not to be a jerk about it, but when it comes to stuff like this, especially when there's someone up ahead that you can really potentially catch, I mean, make sure you say thank you. I mean, that's my way of saying thank you. So here he ends up cutting the turn right here. So here I'm hoping he's like, okay, is he going to get a penalty? And yes, he does. So he has a 1.5 second penalty. And now I'm thinking, okay, I now have to be within that time to catch up to him. But what makes this even worse for Cooper is that the penalty zone where he has to serve it is at the back straight, and it's a 1 mile stretch, or at least I think it's a 1 mile stretch. So I'm already going to have the upper hand on him, even if I'm a little bit further back. But as long as I'm not too far from him, so let's say, I'm going to say at the very worst, like 2.5 seconds, I can definitely catch up to him. And he gets another penalty. And I mean, it looked like he was kind of just losing it a little bit, but he ends up getting another penalty. So I mean, that works out even better for me. So now I can kind of just I can kind of just breathe a bit more, and I can just tell myself, okay, now I can be a bit more relaxed. I just have to be within, let's say, 3 seconds behind him, and I'm definitely going to catch up to him while he serves a penalty. And I go just 2 wheels off track, so I want to be careful of that, because I want to make sure that my tires are nice and squeaky clean, because I want to get as much grip as I can to this last lap. And once again, I mean, and it's going to be a little, how do I say it? I mean, I can get a little greedy. It's me personally talking. I can get a little greedy and be like, okay, I'm going to try to really get behind him, but I also want to be a bit more careful, because if I overstep it, then I could potentially end up biting myself. So he's getting a little bit further away, but again, I'm not too concerned, because he has to serve the penalty all the way at the back straight. He's going to be going a lot slower, and I'm going to have so much more speed, so the pass is going to be a lot easier. I can just catch up to him. So once again, just going to be going nice and careful through here. And something to notice, I don't know if you've noticed this, so DCT or Burdock, my racing buddy over here, he's slowly catching up. So, and I've started noticing that. I was like, wait a second, because he started a bit further in the back. I think he started like around 10th place. I mean, I don't remember, but I know he started a bit further back, but he's already starting to close the gap. And this guy, DCT Alberta, I mean, I think I've mentioned him a couple times in the past videos, but this dude's fast. And I don't know what happened during qualifying. He might have been blocked off. He might have messed up during qualifying. But the thing is that if he ends up passing whoever was between him and I, then I'm going to be in danger, because this dude is going to be applying a ton of pressure on me. And one of the things is that it's going to really matter when he ends up getting right behind me, because if he ends up getting right behind me before we get to the back straight, oh boy, I'm going to be in trouble, because he is definitely going to pass me, because not only is this dude fast, he's also really smart. So I have to be careful of that. It's like, oh yeah, I can see him on my tail, or not. I mean, he's not exactly on my tail, but he's not too far away from me. So now I'm just like, oh shoot. So now I have to really try to catch up to Cooper, and if I could get a pass on him and try to make a get away from it, and hopefully have him block Burdock, then I should be getting a comfortable 5th place finish. But I have a feeling that's not going to happen, because I mean, once again, this dude is fast, this dude is smart, so he's going to be trying to work his magic to get to where he wants to be. And me, I mean, I'm over here trying to be careful, but at the same time trying to be fast to keep up with Cooper. So at this point, I'm feeling like I'm a bit in a lose-lose situation. Back there, like not too long ago, I went a bit too carefully, so he's going to be catching up a bit more. And I'm going to fast forward it a bit more, just because, I mean, this video is already like 23 minutes long, so let's go ahead and fast forward it a bit more. And yeah, we are in big trouble, because now Mr. Burdock here, he is less than a second behind me, and I can already just feel him breathing down my neck, and I know I am in big trouble, because yeah, as he started there, he's like, oh shoot, he's right behind me. And I'm going to say a couple things in the live version, so let's hear what I have to say. Alright Burdock, it's time. What you gonna do? Come on. We're gonna go kill each other, eh? We're gonna kill each other. You know, I actually had thoughts of going for the dive bomb of the century, and I know that's something I try not to do, but I think it would have been really funny and worth it if I did it, because I know Burdock and I, when we did a practice run, we almost killed each other. But I think it would have been funny if I actually went for it, but in the end I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. But yeah, it was still a really good finish. And I have one more thing to say in the live version. Oh, Burdock. You never felt make me laugh. So from 5th place to 6th, I mean, it's not much of a change, but still, that was some crazy intense stuff. Like, I felt like my heart was gonna jump out of my chest. And that's it. That's the final race of the GR Supra GT Cup. And now that the series is finished, I guess I've been thinking about it for a while, ever since that final race, and just trying to gather my thoughts to share about this series. And I think a lot of it has come down to a more personal thing, which I find interesting. I know there's some people saying, "Oh yeah, I like this about the series. I didn't like this about the series." I mean, I have those thoughts too. Like, let's say like the what was it, like Willow Springs, Nurburgring. I mean, those races were exciting because we had to pit and all that stuff. But a lot of it just came back to my personal experience. This series, I mean, it was fun. I had a lot of fun doing this. I'm not going to lie about that, but at the same time, I found it insanely stressful. I don't know if I sounded like that, or yeah, if I sounded that way when I was doing the lap guide videos or the GT Sport Racing videos, but I mean, I just had times where I'm just like, I just really don't want to do this. I mean, just anything relating to like Gran Turismo Sport, but I kind of just had to keep marching on. But until there was actually a time where I actually thought about quitting the race, and that was around, what was it? I think it was for a Red Bull Ring. That's when I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. But I had DCTR Burdock. He managed to have a really good personal conversation with me, and you know, he got me back into the GR Super GT Cup. So I gotta thank him for that. Thank him for the support, since he's kind of like my mentor. Another thing is, one of the things that I absolutely find crazy, and I think crazy is an understatement, is just how well I did in the series. I came into the series just thinking that, oh yeah, I'll get top 200. I think I'll be fine there. I got top 200 when I was in, what was it, the FIE for manufacturers last year. But I mean, that was basically my expectations. But to do this well, to race in top split lobbies, and to eventually finally end in top 15 of North America for this league, that, I mean, I still can't believe that I did that well. I mean, it's almost been a week since that race. I mean, as I'm recording right now, I don't know. It's still taking time for me to fully digest it. And I mean, I don't know. I guess all the fun and the stress of the preparation for it, I guess it all came together really nicely. I just still can't believe that I did that well. Because I don't know. Another thing I've been thinking along with that is that if I did this well in the GR Super GT Cup, I really wonder how well I'll do in any of the future leagues that I choose to participate in. Because I don't know if these guys, like the top guys, you know, have noticed me. They're like, oh shoot, you know, now we gotta watch out for this guy. But if that's the case, then oh boy, we've got a nice long uphill battle. I mean, it's gonna be a crazy fun battle. But I don't know. I'm just still trying to wrap my head around it. So I'm sorry if I don't have the words to compose here. But I'm just really happy and still, I guess, dumbfounded that I did this well. And I know I was mentioning this to one of my subscribers and on Twitter, but I don't think I can call myself the world's most okay player anymore if I'm doing this good. But I still want to keep that name because that makes everything a lot more ironic, and I absolutely love it. Oh boy, I'm having too much fun here. But yeah, I just can't thank you guys enough for the support. I know as I'm making this video, we're like 25 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers. So I gotta thank you guys and gals for the support. I gotta thank my racing buddies like Silady, Cyrus, and DCTR Burdock for the support and for just helping me push a lot, push myself to new levels. But anyways, I know this video is about to reach 31 minutes, so I'm just gonna end this video right here. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I really do appreciate it. But anyways, that's all for the video before I have to go to bed and start crying and stuff. This is Mr. MCA, the world's most okay player, and I'll see you in the next video.